A game can be a masterpiece to someone and complete trash to someone else. The way a story resonates depends on the person and their circumstances. Someone who can buy a game every 6 months will approach gaming very differently than someone who can buy a game every month. A story driven game might feel like a masterpiece to someone looking for something simple and engaging, while an action game or shooter might be more comforting for someone with a boring or non stimulating job. These principles also apply over time as a person's life changes. When I was younger, I used to finish every game I had and squeeze out everything it offered before even thinking about getting another one. This was partly because I didn't have the money, and partly because I felt like I had to experience everything a game offered before moving on. That mindset had its benefits. It gave me time to save money for the next big game, but it also had downsides. If I bought a bad game, I was stuck with it for months, forcing myself to 100% it. There were also games I avoided buying because I wasn't sure they were for me. Maybe they were too scary or outside my usual taste. Over time, that mindset became a restriction. It stopped me from trying new games even if I was interested in them. But that curse was also a blessing. Now that I'm older and can afford to try more games, I get to experience them for the first time in a completely different way. Growing up, I mostly played platformers because I couldn't understand story driven games. I didn't speak English, so cutscenes were just visual spectacles. And when it came to puzzles, I struggled a lot. Sometimes the characters would literally explain the solution, I just couldn't understand it because I didn't speak the language. Now, you might think this is a sob story about me being poor and not playing enough games. It is not. This isn't a sob story about me being poor or not understanding games at all. What I'm trying to say is that now that I have the resources and knowledge to play games that I avoided before, I can finally understand the ones that I couldn't. I remember playing God of War 2 when it first came out. It was fun, it was violent, and had great gameplay and music. But I had to figure out the story on my own, even though it's not that complicated. When I replayed it years later, it felt completely different. The gameplay was nostalgic, but now that the story actually made sense, the game was even more fun to me. That's one of the blessings of not fully understanding games the first time. You get to replay them and experience something completely new. I can go back to games like Uncharted and catch details I missed before, like Easter eggs or dialogue hints or puzzle cues, whatever the game was trying to tell me that I didn't understand before. As I get older, my backlog grows, not just because of new games, but because of old games I can finally understand. Another example is Devil May Cry 2. I beat the game so many times and never had an issue with the gameplay or the bosses. My only struggle was figuring out where to go because I didn't understand the instructions the game was trying to give me. And to me, that game was the best Devil May Cry, right after Devil May Cry 3. Later, when I saw how much criticism the game gets, I was extremely surprised. Now, I kind of feel like I need to replay it to see if the nostalgia is affecting my opinion. And once I play the game again, I get to make my own decision now that I understand what other people were saying and what I am playing. I've had similar experiences with many games, but the biggest example is God of War 2018. I've played it twice, once when it came out and once very recently. Both times felt completely different. The first time, I thought the game was a very good action game. The story was just okay to me. When Kratos screamed at Atreus, I agreed with them. I thought Atreus was just a stupid kid, and the journey to the mountain didn't really feel that important to me. Now, the second time I played it, everything changed. By then, I had become a father. The game stopped being just an action game and became a story about a father and son navigating into the unknown. Kratos felt more human to me, his struggles made more sense, he was trying to be better without having a blueprint to follow, and that kind of hit me. Atreus also changed in my eyes. He wasn't stupid anymore, he was just a kid, and kids act on impulse. Now, the journey to the mountain, it became one of the most important parts of the story. It wasn't about the destination, it was about the bond they built along the way, for them to realize that they only had each other. This doesn't mean you have to play a game twice to understand it. It just means that your experience depends on who you are when you play it. I was a different person the second time, and that changed everything. And because of this, I now try to revisit games I didn't like before just to see if my opinion still holds or if my opinion changes completely based on who I am now. There's one game I want to give another chance, and that game is Final Fantasy VII. I know people will disagree, but when I first played it, the first couple of hours were extremely boring to me, and the voice acting was really cheesy. The way the characters acted and talked made me lose complete interest in the game, and I ended up dropping it. But now, with more time and a more open mindset, I think I might enjoy it if I try it again, so I'm gonna end up giving it another chance. That curse that I mentioned before was also a blessing because now I also get to experience entire series I avoided before. For example, I've never played Resident Evil games. I was too scared of horror games and I couldn't afford to risk picking one when I had to commit to a single game for months. And now I can finally try them even if I'm still a little scared of those games. I also get to revisit franchises like Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank that I completely forgot what they were about. All I know is that the gameplay was pretty fun. I've played Metal Gear Solid 3, 4, and Phantom Pain mainly for the stealth gameplay because I had no idea what was going on in the story. Now, I can go back and try to actually understand them, even if those stories are extremely confusing based on what I hear. With all of that being said, I'm just happy that I can finally understand the hype or disappointment behind so many games. I might be late to the party, but at least I'm making it to the party. As a gamer, I'm just excited to keep exploring how many experiences with games change over time. There might be games I hated before that I love now, and there might be games I love that don't hold up anymore. Either way, I'm just looking forward to seeing how gaming evolves with me. Are there any games that have evolved with you that before you used to think they were the greatest things ever? Once you tried them again, you thought they were complete crap. Or the other way around, you completely hated the whole experience, and now that you're grown and you tried it again, you think they're the greatest thing ever. Let me know in the comments.
Death to Kronos. I'll see to that. No one is more prepared. Beyond the mists of Erebus, there should be a way down. Too risky heading through Elysium.